And the thing about it, 1 out of 2 persons with diabetes don't even know they have it. So it's a really serious topic of conversation.
Yeah, well, today we're going to get into it. We're going to be talking with Dr. Christine Parker-Curling and Jan Martin. They're both going to be explaining ways that you can control your diabetes. Dr. Monique Pratt will talk about kidney health and diabetics. And of course, Margaret Daxon is with us. She's going to tell us about the importance of diabetes education. So we've really got a full lineup for you to talk about all of this. So stay with us. Before we get to any of it, we're going to take a first look at weather with Godfrey Burnside.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. What's first for you comes first for us.
Thank you, Star, and good morning, Bahamas. In your first look at weather at Sunrise, high pressure continues to weaken across the islands as the former boundary approaches the extreme northwest Bahamas, that's Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini. It should stall late tonight into tomorrow morning and move over the islands by late Monday. Today, weather-wise, partly sunny, very warm, breezy over the central and southeastern islands, with a few showers or isolated thunderstorms, mainly across the extreme northwest Bahamas, high temperature 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, partly cloudy skies and mild, with a chance of a few showers, mainly across the extreme northwest Bahamas, low going down to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And some regional highs and lows across the Caribbean, Barbados, 82 and 78. In Jamaica, 82 and 72. In Trinidad, 85 and 76. And the Turks and Caicos Islands, 87 and 77. Across North America, Atlanta, 71 and 53. In Raleigh, 69 and 54. In Miami, 85 and 77. Dallas, Texas, 67 and 55. And Toronto, Canada, 51 and 39. As we go through the weekend, lovely weekend still weather-wise, that cool fresh stall over Grand Bahama, Abaco, Bimini. Could trigger up a couple of showers and a thunderstorm in that particular area, but the rainy hours would be pretty good, but it's partly sunny and very warm. And front should pass through on Monday, and now increasing cloudy sometime late Monday into Tuesday across the island and becoming windy. So temperature daytime will be in the upper 80s, at nighttime in the upper 70s. That puts her up in your first look at weather sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. Of course, highly effective for the prevention, management, and treatment of complications. Here this with us is Dr. Kitty Bonet. She's the owner, senior physiotherapist, handling your health and wellness at rehab. Thank you so much, Kitty. I saw you yesterday. I didn't know you were going to be here, but it's so good to see you virtually once again.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is obviously a serious topic. World Diabetes Day is tomorrow as well. But speak to some of the common conditions that you see in diabetic patients.
Well, as a physio, I should also say I'm a certified diabetic educator. So I come on the other end as well in terms of prevention and management, not just the treatment aspect of it. So, but as a physio, what I tend to see is the end results of just what the diabetes has done. So we're looking at neuropathies where we have numbness, tingling, loss of sensation inside the leg and hands, but we're going to talk more about feet today. We have diabetic wounds. We have what we call poor gait, poor function in the way people walk, weakness, pain, swelling. And unfortunately, we tend to see them at the end stages, or I shouldn't say the end stages, more advanced and chronic stages. And what we really want to do, what I want to do as a diabetic educator, as well as a physical therapist, is to intervene far earlier before these things progress.
Right. And I was just about to say, I mean, our body talks to us all the time. Mine was talking to me at 5 o'clock this morning. But as it relates to diabetes, you know, what does the body begin to say? You mentioned numbness, you mentioned... What was begin to tell you?
What you typically see, I mean, early signs are either weight gain, weight loss, right? Frequent urination, there's gross fatigue, sometimes people can actually pass out depending on how the blood sugar levels are managed. Because what diabetes is you have a very high, what we call blood glucose level. You know, the Bahamians say we have sugar, high sugar.
Yes.
So you have a lot of sugar in the blood, and because the blood goes all over the body, then this effect is seen all over the body. So it affects your nerves, it affects your blood vessels. So any function that your nerves do, which is basically running the whole gamut, and circulation is affected. So that's where the numbness and tingling comes in, the weakness in the muscles, and then because the blood vessels are damaged, you can have swelling, you can have bone growths in certain areas, you lose elasticity or flexibility in the joints. So, and that's just it, because it's so systemic, you can see a myriad of symptoms and signs, and you probably won't tie it into diabetes.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, especially when we talked about those numbers at the top of the show, 1 in 7 Bahamians, 10%
Yep.
of the world's population. Those are some serious numbers. But when we get into the physical therapy part of it, I mean, what are the interventions that you do with people with diabetes?
Okay, so and I'll tell you, so we get patients that come in, regular orthopedic patients, like a sprained ankle, a bum knee, a bad back. Part of our intervention is a good assessment and evaluation. And what we do is we test your sensation at the bottom of your feet just to see how your nerves are behaving, regardless of what you present with. A good physio will do that. We check your reflexes. And sometimes we pick up diabetes in the clinic. And this is why I became a diabetic educator, because I was seeing these symptoms and signs presenting. So the bad back, the bad knee, the bad ankle, what may have happened is that the diabetes presentation may have caused you to be more susceptible to sprains and strains because your proprioception was off, right? What you think is arthritis may be like the changes in the ligaments and the knees and joints. And so we have to do due diligence as a physio to rule all of the things out, make sure it's purely an orthopedic case and not something that's superimposed on it. And we've been able to catch a lot of that. So the most important thing is to screen and then educate our patients. How do we prevent this injury from reoccurring? How do we get you stronger? And how do we get you to pay more attention to your bodies? Because a lot of us on autopilot, we go, 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 and not until something fails and breaks and we can't move anymore. We have the dysfunction and we said, oh, I have a problem. But no, the signs and symptoms were there before.
I mean, you're right, and certainly November is also, Men's Month. Especially as men, we tend to ignore a lot of these things. But overall, I mean, you talked about it before. Call it sugar in the blood sugar levels. Does it go away? I mean, does exercise help? I mean,
so definitely. So we promote controlling your blood glucose levels, right? So good nutrition, staying away from foods that would exacerbate blood sugar levels, that would keep it at a consistent level is very important. So hand in hand, nutrition goes in there. The other part of it is we know exercise, physical activity can also help you control your blood sugar levels. So what I do as a diabetic wellness or diabetic diet approach is we create exercise prescriptions to meet what you present with. So if we have somebody that has uncontrolled blood sugars and we know they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing in terms of nutrition, then we create a very specific exercise prescription to manage their endurance, their aerobic activity. But then we have to work on strengthening because we want to make sure we strengthen those muscles that weaken in the foot, the knees, the thighs, the hips. We also work on flexibility because as much as you need strength, you need flexibility. And we work on balance. That's another thing. So you see a lot of diabetics, people with diabetes, if you ask them why do I exercise, well, I feel off balance. And that's because of the neuropathy, that's because of the weakness. So then we do exercises geared towards improving their balance, increasing their confidence, increasing their competence with movement and other exercises. And then we can go and add on any other bells and whistles we want. But it has to be very specific to that person's need. Sure, I can throw an exercise program out, but what you need and what I need are two different things. And we have to be cognizant and make sure we do that.
I was just about to ask that exact same question. One size doesn't fit all. So obviously the organization that has to occur. Kitty, listen, always a pleasure having you here on Bahamas at Sunrise. But before you go, I mean, I'm sure people might be recognizing some of those symptoms. Where can you be reached?
So you can be reached at Handling Your Health, Wellness and Rehab. We're on West Bay Street in the Henrietta Carlet's Plaza. You can't miss this. This is only green, two-story, West Bay Street, right before you get to the Sandals down the road. And definitely you can find us on Facebook, Twitter. You can reach out to me on social media. I'm very visible. So please, and we have good programs in place to help people with the most minute. Let's catch it while it's early.
Right. Excellent, Dr. Kitty Benet. Adelie, handling your health, wellness, and rehab. So good to see you.
Good day, everybody. Bye.
All right. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
First, it's more than just our name, more than just our achievements. It's our nature, and it's where we put our customers. At Bahamas First, we've refreshed our look, but our nature remains the same. We design insurance solutions that protect our customers from life's uncertainties. Whatever they may be, we equip you for the future so that you can recover stronger. Bahamas First, what's first for you comes first for us.
The COVID-19 pandemic demands the most modern techniques and highest standards of sanitizing to ensure the safety of schools, businesses, churches, and the ones we love. Treeline Divine Professional Sanitizers offers state-of-the-art electrostatic technology, providing maximum efficiency and coverage to protect your environment and preserve your health against mold and 99% of bacteria and viruses, including COVID-19. With pricing to match your budget and standards to meet your highest expectations, we invite you to contact us for a free analysis of your weekly, monthly, or single-use needs. COVID-19's impact is strong, but our commitment to restoring your safety is even stronger. Treeline Divine Sanitizing. Spread confidence.
Welcome back. November 14th is World Diabetes Day. November is Diabetes Awareness Month. About 422 million people worldwide have diabetes, and we want to talk about how to tackle, prevent, and treat this disease among our population. Here to discuss this with us are Dr. Christine Parker-Curling, endocrinologist, and Dr. John Martin, Director of Medical Surgical Weight Loss and Diabetes Program, Doctors Hospital Health System. Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise, ladies.
Good morning, Mr. Butler. Good morning, Dr.
It's been a while, Dr. Martin and Dr. Parker-Curling. I think it's the first time, so welcome. We want to jump right into it. Dr. Martin, is diabetes very prevalent in the Bahamas?
Certainly, diabetes is extremely prevalent, and so is obesity. The two tend to go hand in hand because of lifestyle. So in 2005, Dr. Gomez put some numbers out there, and he said that, in the country we had about approximately 6.7% of adult persons either with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, because there's a difference, and Dr. Curling will get into that, type 2 diabetes and or pre-diabetes. In 2019, we had Dr. Dwayne Sands get up in the House of Assembly, and he referred to those numbers, and he said since that time, that percentage has doubled. So we have 13.9+% or more, because we haven't done any relevant studies in a long time, of Bahamians, adult Bahamians with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, because they're clumped. And a lot of the risk factors, one of the main primary risk factors is the disease of obesity, overweight and obesity. And I'd let Dr. Curling add to that question and answer.
Definitely, yeah. Dr. Curling.
Thank you very much. Yes. Given the numbers of known diabetic patients, what's even more concerning is perhaps the prevalence of patients with undiagnosed diabetes, because that leaves us with a significant portion of the population who would be having potential complications of diabetes because they are, number one, undiagnosed, and number two, unmanaged, and then most certainly uncontrolled. So yes, we have a very serious problem with diabetes because the burden of disease will predispose us to a huge burden of complications.
Okay, and Dr. Parker Curling, what are the primary medical concerns for a person with diabetes, and what annual tests do diabetics need to keep up with, and what are the numbers they need to know?
Okay, so I will respond just a bit to the previous question and then kind of segue into this because it was important. You asked, does somebody with prediabetes essentially have any power to do anything about it? Yes. The American Diabetes Association says that approximately 70% of patients diagnosed with prediabetes will progress to diabetes if we do nothing in their lifetime. And the conversion rate from prediabetes to diabetes is maybe 5 to 10% of those patients per year will become diabetic. So when you're doing your annual physical and your doctor measures your blood sugar, which is generally a part of the annual physical exam, they should advise you if these numbers are higher than normal. So prediabetes is a state where your blood sugars are above normal, but they're not quite high enough to reach the threshold to be diagnosed with diabetes. But it is a concerning state. It's a concerning metabolic state because you can get complications from long-standing mild elevations in blood sugar. And then also, you can significantly reduce your risk of developing diabetes by more than 58% by changing your lifestyle.
That's right.
So every 2.2 pound weight loss can decrease your risk of progressing to diabetes by about 16%. So I like when I get a patient who's diabetic because I try to encourage them and to counsel them that this is not a bad thing. It's that we were able to find something before you progressed and we can intervene with lifestyle, that studies have shown that there is a beneficial effect of lifestyle in preventing the progression to diabetes. Once you're diabetic, what are we looking for? What are the labs? What are the medical concerns that we should be evaluating? And I would briefly go into this because I think we'll touch it later on in the discussion. When you are diabetic, you want to do your annual physicals. You want to check your blood sugars. You want your hemoglobin A1C to be monitored at least every 3 to 4 months, and the goal number is 7. You want your doctor to check your cholesterol at least annually if it's controlled. Your total cholesterol should be somewhere below 200, and the bad cholesterol or LDL should be less than 100, depending on this particular circumstance. You want to check your urine for proteins. And I will stop there because there are a lot of things. And the one thing I want to say is that when you discuss your management with your doctor, get involved. If you know what the goals of your therapy are and you know where you are and where you want to be, I find those patients who are actively involved do better because they say, Doc, my A1C was 10. What is it today? How do I get it down? So when you are able to take ownership of what's going on and get involved, the results tend to be extremely good.
Yeah, and Dr. Martin, Dr. Parker Curling mentioned getting involved. What kind of positive changes can a diabetic experience with diet and lifestyle changes? And if they don't have the discipline to implement these changes themselves, who can assist them with dating and in monitoring that they are exercising these changes?
Okay, once a pre-diabetic, once a person is diagnosed with prediabetes, as Dr. Parker noted, it can be reversed through lifestyle changes. And that's diet, healthy meal choices, and regular physical activity. And the American Heart Association talks about what regular physical activity is. It is 4 to 5 days a week, 30 minutes to 45 minutes each time. And so the changes that a diabetic or pre-diabetic can envision is reduction in blood sugar levels, reduction in HbA1c levels, reduction in blood pressure, reduction in cholesterol, total cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, which is the LDL, and the triglycerides, and better sleep, better attitude. We have more patience. And so there's so many positive benefits to incorporating a healthy lifestyle behavioral program. And so how do we get involved with Doctors Hospital? Doctors Hospital has started an obesity management program. It's called the Medical Surgical Weight Loss Program. And it's medical because not everybody wants to have surgery for obesity, and not everyone fits into the category for surgical intervention. But then we do have some persons who fit into that extreme obesity. They're only going to lose so many pounds, so much of their adipose tissue, so much of their fat. And so we suggest they move on from the medical program with the lifestyle changes. We get that under control. They lose more than 10% of their body weight. They're adhering to the behavioral changes. And then we progress them into the surgical program. As it relates to the diabetic program, it's an in-house program. It's a teaching program. And that comes on stream in 2021 in full force. And so they leave the hospital with ammunition, and they leave the hospital having begun the changes that is required for them to bring their diabetes into a normal numbers.
Dr. Martin, Dr. Parker Curling, of course, we've run out of time, but I want to thank both of you. All the best with creating and keeping the Bahamas aware of the diabetic issues that we have in our country. And we're happy that you're able to join us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
Let's think about your student information system. During the school day, we have to make hundreds of decisions as we care for our students and their learning. And we have to stay current with their ever-changing information day in and day out. Teachers, administrators, and support staff are constantly working to serve students and families well. Welcome to Alma. Alma uses the latest technology to transform this K-12 data into insight, making certain that routine school tasks aren't consuming valuable learning time. There are a number of reasons thousands of schools and districts around the world are making the easy switch to Alma's cloud-based SIS platform and using Alma's entire suite of integrated solutions, and ensures administrators, students, and parents are successful every step of the way. Alma will positively change the way your team thinks about SIS. Day to day, Alma gives school staff increased visibility and a modern student information system and more that everyone simply loves to use.
Maybe that. Maybe not. If only they had...
Snacking should be sweet and simple.
Ooh.
The delicious taste of Glucerna gives you the sweetness you crave while helping you manage your blood sugar. Glucerna, your good decision of the day.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. The Bahamas Diabetic Association offers education and support to those in the diabetic community. Here to tell us more, we're very happy to welcome Mr. Eugene Thurston. He's Director General for the Bahamas Diabetic Association. Mr. Thurston, good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning, my dear, and how are you? Good morning, Bahamas.
I'm very well, Mr. Thurston. So happy to see you looking so well. How are you doing?
I'm delightful. And yourself, ma'am?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. So I want to get to some more information today, Mr. Thurston, on the Bahamas Diabetic Association. Can you give us an overview of the association and what it is that you do?
Okay. The Bahamas Diabetic Association was started some 32 years ago by Ethel Knowles and Diana Pinder. They both had two daughters who were type 1 diabetics. The goal of the Bahamas Diabetes Association is to actually be the voice of diabetics within the country. We have a number of training and educational initiatives that we do on a monthly basis. We're trying to make sure that diabetics are educated, because the key to beating diabetes is certainly education. So therefore, we have a number of structured programs for that And we do testing, we do blood pressure, we do foot inspection, and we do cooking programs.
All right, excellent. All sound very needed, much needed, I'm sure, in the community. Talk to me about what some of those educational programs are that you do offer. You said that there were several structured ones. So what are they?
Okay, we have, several years ago, we found out that there were a large number of amputation in the country. And so we've decided that we came up with a program called Show Your Feet. And what it was all about was that patients would come in, we would examine their feet, and we'd look for any abnormalities that we could not deal with at the office. And then we would send them on to Dr. Johnson, who has been very gracious in helping us with this program. And within the last 2 years has saved a tremendous amount of feet in the country. That's number one. Handling Your Health is another program where the diabetics, they would come in, they were registered, they would set the goals that they wanted to achieve within the program. It was like a 12-week program. It was put on by the educators, which is a branch of the Bahamas Diabetes Association. And we had a tremendous amount of success. Lots of persons achieved their goal, weight loss. There were persons who were drinking like 3 glasses of water a day who are now drinking 8 glasses of water a day. We had persons who their goal was to do exercise. Persons were able to come off insulin. Some persons were on like 45 units and came down to like 15 units. We're having a tremendous success with the program. But as a result of Dorian and now COVID, we've pretty much kind of scaled back and people are kind of like hesitant to come out. So we're going to start our program virtually.
Okay, let's talk about that. You mentioned Dorian, and then of course, we understand how COVID might have transpired and transformed some things. You know, just giving patients access to be in the same space together, to learn together. It has to change and go virtual. So we appreciate that. But how has Hurricane Dorian impacted your efforts? Is it fundraising related?
Yes, it is, because actually most of the persons that we get donation from were unable to give donation because they gave to the Dorian Recovery Fund in a major effort, whereby leaving us to the side. And we could appreciate that because the funds were needed. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that came COVID. Mm-hmm. And just take, for instance, Atlantic Medical, who has been gracious, very, very gracious, who has brought us a long way. I'd like to say, even though we didn't have a walk this year, thank you, Atlantic Medical. They've always assisted us. So basically, right now, all we are surviving off is basically what we're getting from the government. And we are quite gracious for that.
Yeah. So I can imagine then that you would have some major needs. I know Atlantic Medical contributes significantly to your efforts. And so not being able to have that fun run walk with the combination, as you mentioned, of having had Hurricane Dorian pass last year and so many people responding to that tremendous need, I can see why, associations like the Diabetes Association and others would really find themselves in a hard financial struggle this year. If somebody did have something to contribute to you, how could they reach you and how could that contribution take place?
If you have a donation that you'd like to give us, or a contribution, whether it's financial, whether you want to volunteer, you can contact me at 809-7705. If it's a financial contribution, you could take it to the Royal Bank of Canada Palmdale branch.
All right. And would people also reach out to you if they wanted to join as members? Is your membership exclusive to just those who have diabetes or are pre-diabetic, or are you also open to those who may be supporting loved ones who have diabetes? Is the membership open?
We are open to the general public. Anybody who has a vested interest in diabetes, we are more than happy to come. We certainly do welcome you. One of the fundraisers that I'm trying to implement now, I will do it probably, if I don't get it one way, I'll do it in another fold. We're trying to do an online virtual memorial walk with persons whose family would have died of diabetes, where there's a plaque, you put the name on it, and you says, you want to, however you want to word it, and you would therefore, you'd pay like maybe $50 for it, and it'll be like I said, a virtual wall. And if it's not done that way, we're trying to find a piece of property where it'll be like a diabetes park. It talks about the history of diabetes, the history of its medication, And then you have these little plaques that family members would have of their loved ones. Because like I said, we're desperately in need of donation at this time.
All right. Well, Mr. Johnson, I want you to give us that number one more time, just so that we can make sure that people can reach you if they are able to help.
Okay, that number is 809-7705.
Okay, 809-7705.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
Mr. Johnson, of course, we're grateful that you joined us this morning. Happy to know more about the association, the work you've done in the past, and then, of course, looking forward to some of the things you talked about in the future, including those new educational programs coming to a virtual space, and now, of course, this virtual memory wall. We trust that it's a hard season, indeed, but that with you at the helm, things will get better.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be back with more after this commercial break.
Our world has changed. Many businesses have been closed for months with little or no access to their customers until now. Rev Media can help you remain connected to your customers. Our trusted customized advertising packages and personalized consultants will provide your business with immeasurable support during this challenging time. Your customers are already watching. Rev Media can help you to remain connected. Call us today. Let us help you.
The sports we play depend on the health we build. So let's stay healthy. Wear a mask and practice social distancing and hand washing to protect yourself and others. Remember, COVID-19 is not a game.
A public service message from the Bahamas Olympic Committee.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. We're at the halfway point on this fabulous Friday. I'm Anastasia Palacios.
TGIF, I'm Philip Simon Star. You know what I just realized? It's Friday the 13th, but we're not going to let that.
That means it's going to be an even more beautiful day than we anticipated, Phil. That's all that means.
Okay. All right, we're going to roll with that. Good interview. Good interview just now. I mean, I sat and I listened, and, you know, like I said before we came back, I said there's some really, you know, committed, good people in this world, and sometimes we forget that, you know, in the midst of all of the negativity.
Yeah, it can be easy to forget, but people like Mr. Thurston and so many others, right? Even just him talking about the fact that so many companies would have just given to the Dorian relief effort. We know that there are some people that make life challenging, but for the most part, people are still good, and we continue to see that. We continue to see people try to be there for each other, especially during these hard COVID times. And then, of course, we get to bring the stories here to Bahamas at Sunrise. So we're grateful. And I think if we stay in that space of gratitude, it gives more room for more good people to do that thing.
No doubt about it. And we have a lot of good people that watch us every Monday and Friday and the days in between. And more good people to come, Star. We've got Dr. Monique Pratt, our correspondent from Grand Bahama. She's going to be talking about kidney health.
In addition to Dr. Pratt, Nurse Margaret Daxon is also here. She's going to be talking with us about the importance of diabetes education. So we're looking forward to that as well. Of course, before we get to any of it, Phil, we love to take a second look at weather with Godfrey Burnside.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. What's first for you comes first for us.
Thank you, Star, and good morning, Bahamas. In your second look at weather sunrise, we take a trip around the tropics, and this morning we have tropical storm Theta. And at 5 a.m., Theta was located near latitude 31.9 degrees north, longitude 24.9 degrees west, some 445 miles south-southeast of the Azores, moving east at 12 miles per hour, winds now 60 miles per hour. And we have eyes on a tropical wave located over the central Caribbean Sea, has become better organized, and a tropical depression likely to form within the next day or two as it moves slowly westward. System has a 90% chance of development over the next 2 to 5 days. Elsewhere, tropical storm formation expected during the next 5 days. On the local scene, high pressure continues to weaken as frontal boundary approaches the extreme northwest Bahamas, Grand Bahama, Bimini, should stall over that area on Saturday and Sunday, and then move slowly towards the southeast across the other islands by Monday into Tuesday. And for the most part, in your marine forecast, winds southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots, 2 to 4 feet. Those winds falling light and variable at times, with easterly at 15 to 20 knots, 5 to 8 feet over the central and southeastern islands. On Saturday's winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, 2 to 4 feet, again falling light and variable on northwest Bahamas, easterly at 15 to 20 knots, 4 to 7 feet over the central and southeastern islands. Then on Sunday, those winds become northeast to east at 15 knots, 2 to 5 feet on northwest Bahamas, 15 to 20 knots, 4 to 7 feet over the central and southeastern islands. Your tide. Friends, you have a high tide that happens 5:37 this morning. Your next low tide at 12 p.m. this afternoon. High again this evening at 5:57. Sunset, 5:23 this evening. Rises to 6:27. UV index 7. Your water temperature 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And your moon phase moving towards the new moon. The external look, the external cool front will bring some showers and thunderstorms across the Grand Bahama tonight into Monday morning as we move towards the southeast, but the remaining hours will be pretty good, partly sunny, very warm, with a chance of a shower thunderstorm. And then the temperature daytime will be in the upper 80s at daytime, upper 70s at nighttime. That puts you up in your front. Look at the sunrise. I'm glad to go inside. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. Of course, we've been throwing these statistics around all morning relative to diabetes. Of course, it can affect every organ in the body, but kidney failure is 10 times more common in people with diabetes. This morning, we want to talk about diabetes and kidney health with Dr. Monique Pratt, our northern correspondent. Of course, she's internal medicine consultant at Duran Memorial Hospital in Grand Bahama, nephrologist, hypertension, and dialysis specialist at the Kidney Center. It seems as though she's already behind her desk at work. Good to see you, Doc.
Morning. Morning. Morning again.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah. Well, let's jump right into this. I mean, okay, we're talking diabetes, but let's identify what the kidney is, what the functions are, and before we talk about how it can be impacted by diabetes.
Sure. So most people are born with 2 kidneys. Some people are born with anomaly where they have 1, but most people are born with 2 kidneys, and they're located usually, we call it the flank area, which is at the back. And so they're usually the size of our fists. So if you're a big person, you have bigger kidneys, usually the size of our fists. So we kind of identify as that size. And so the kidneys are very, very critical to the body. They're very small organs, but they're critical to the body's functioning. Because what do they do? So the main functions are, just to keep it simple, is that number 1, they control the removal of waste from our body and the removal of excess fluid. Those are the 2 main things. The second thing that they do that's really important, they control our blood pressure. So, which is, of course, we know which is the major thing. The third thing, they control what's called electrolytes. So that's things like sodium, potassium, chloride, bicarbonate, the acid and base level in our body. So it keeps that balance as well. And also prevents us from getting what's called anemia. Anemia, it makes a special chemical called erythropoietin, which is a fancy name, and that prevents us from getting anemia. Also, is very involved in bone health, okay? And so that it's a very, a lot of physiology involved in that, but it prevents us from getting brittle bones, the calcium and phosphorus in our body, and helps us maintain that balance as well. So it's very, very involved in a lot of things. So when it gets damaged, a lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah. I do have a little bit of history with that. But 90% of people have type 2 diabetes, but of course there's type 1 as well. How does that affect the kidneys?
Right. So type 1 diabetic diabetes usually happens in the very young. Some kids usually born with that. And so they work very differently. Type 2 diabetes is usually what we see more. Both of them can cause kidney failure. But most of the time that we see the patients that end up on dialysis, most of them have type 2 diabetes. That's the type that people develop when it happens over a long period of time. Their body becomes resistant to how insulin takes glucose up into the body. So how does that develop? Patients, either it can be hereditary, but the most part is how we eat. Patients become obese and their body becomes resistant to insulin and how they handle carbohydrates, how they handle sugars. And so over time, that damages the kidneys. As far as, especially in our population and in Blacks, especially in general, and patients, we don't eat very well. So we become obese, we become sedentary, we don't exercise. And so over time, the diabetes itself damages the blood vessels in the kidneys. And we have a tuft in the kidneys, a ball of blood vessels. And these are very small blood vessels and they function as the kidneys filters. So they become damaged over time, 10, 20, 30 years, damaged by diabetes. And so that's what causes the problem. They become leaky. And so they put pressure on the kidneys. They tend to leak protein. It damages the kidneys over time. And that's what happens. And usually the damage happens over years and years and years. So when someone presents to us with kidney disease, they'll say, oh, I've had diabetes for 5, 10 years. Chances are they've had diabetes for 20, 30 years. Because when they present with kidney damage, that means it's a long-standing history of having uncontrolled diabetes usually. Not everybody develops kidney problems who has diabetics. I want to make that clear. Who has diabetes, not everyone ends up on dialysis and ends up getting kidney problems. So I want to make that kind of clear. Maybe like 1 in 4 or 1 in 3, not everyone. So I want to just clear that up.
Okay. Well, to follow up on that, I mean, what then prompts or takes you to the point where you have to be on dialysis? And also, you talk about the kidney damage caused by diabetes. Can this be stopped? Can it be reversed? How do you treat it?
Right. So the first thing, I'll answer your first question. The first question patients always ask, what causes this to happen? The first thing is that you have to make sure you get your annual checkups to see if you have diabetes. So we determine if you have diabetes, of course, by getting your blood work. We check your urine, and we can tell if your sugars are uncontrolled. That's why when you go to the doctor, we said, you know what? We want you to fast before you get your blood test. That fasting blood sugar tells us if you're pre-diabetic or if you have diabetes. Then we take a next step further. We get what's called an A1C. Everyone should know what their A1C is. The A1C should be less than 7%. That tells us how your sugar is controlled over a 3-month period. So if you have diabetes, the best thing to do is get that under control as quickly as possible. You want to prevent that long-term damage, okay? So that's what you have to do. So patients say, okay, and that one thing. Second thing is that if you're obese, you have to lose weight. That weight loss is critical. You have to lose weight. If you have hypertension, that's a double dipper. You have hypertension, diabetes, there's a double whammy. And the obesity, which a lot of us have. I mean, even me, I look slim, but I'm actually overweight for my height, because I'm actually near 5'3", 5'4". So if you think that, if I'm I have a high body mass index, you can imagine people who are like twice my size. So you have to get that weight under control. So the weight, the blood pressure, the blood sugar under control. If you smoke, you have to stop smoking. If you drink, very, very minimal alcohol. Those are lifestyle things you can change. If it's hereditary, we cannot help what's in our genes, but things we can't control, which is the modifying risk factors, we have to control those. The second part of your question you asked, I think, what's the second part?
I was asking, how do you get to the point of dialysis, which is
right, dialysis part, right? So that's always a question other people are concerned about. Now, so what I do is, as far as a kidney doctor, people say, oh no, you do dialysis. I'm like, I do more than just dialysis. I try to take care of your kidneys to prevent you from ending up coming to dialysis. So what I do is that we monitor your kidneys throughout. So what I do is I make sure that I get those things, make sure your blood pressure is controlled, your diabetes is controlled. We have to see a dietitian to control your amount of protein you take in, to make sure the amount of calories you eat, make sure you're on the right diet to help slow down the kidney damage. So you have different stages of kidney disease. You have stage 1, which is very mild. You have stage 5, which is the worst. So at that point, when the kidneys are functioning about like 10-15%, that's to the point where you need dialysis and or kidney transplant. Patients don't like to hear that, but I try to do my best to prevent them from getting to the point on dialysis because we have so many young patients, especially like recently now, in their 30s and 40s who are on dialysis. And it's just, I mean, it's not the end of their life. We keep them alive, not the end of the road. But I mean, for a lot of people, it's a big adjustment. And I mean, being on dialysis does keep you alive, not a death sentence like everybody says it is. I tell them I didn't go to school to kill people. I go to school to help people. But it's just that, it's a big lifestyle change because you're on the machine for 4 hours on average, 3 days a week. So think about that. Some patients are here right now from 4 a.m. in the morning. When I got here, they've been here. And at 9 a.m., they have to get up and they have to go to work or go to school. Maybe you have a young patient here who's been on the machine with us since he was a young boy. I had to go to school right after. So it's a tough change. I try and keep you off of dialysis as long as I could.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, geez, a lot. I mean, always good to have you here on the show. What's the best way to reach you? I know you have several different points of destination, but what's the best way to reach you?
Okay. The best way you can reach me is two main points. The first place, of course, here's at the Kidney Center in Freeport. This is my main hub. This is where I am. Our number here is 352-7146. And also I'm at Brown Memorial Hospital. I'm chief of services there, internal medicine. I'm also nephrology and internal medicine consult there. So you can reach me there at 352. I think the phone number is 6500. But you can always reach me at the Kidney Center, and then they'll get the message out to you to get to me. And I do internal medicine, also nephrology, hypertension, kidney stones, kidney disease, where it's at. Kidneys, I'm the kidney lady.
All right, so good to see you. Listen, do well, hey? And that little one hopefully gets to see you for real soon too.
Thanks so much. Thanks for everything. Nice to see you again. Thanks.
Right. Okay, bye. Sunrise. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much.
One thing, two things, blue thing, all things, things that are small, things that are grand, things that fit just right, and in the palm of your hand. Fox Hill Nursery, a large selection of garden supplies. If you can see it in your mind, you can find it at Fox Hill Nursery.
Maybe that. Maybe not. If only they had...
Snacking should be sweet and simple.
Ooh.
The delicious taste of Glucerna gives you the sweetness you crave while helping you manage your blood sugar. Glucerna, your good decision of the day.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. The theme for World Diabetes Day 2020 is the nurse and diabetes, with the hashtag Nurses Make a Difference. Nurses can specialize in diabetes care and education to help patients manage the disease. And so this morning, we're very happy to be talking with Nurse Margaret Daxon. She's a certified diabetes educator with the Department of Public Health. Good morning, Nurse Daxon, and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. I am with the Foot and Ankle International.
Okay,
but I used to be with Public Health.
Okay, and Jackson, I feel like I met you over at Dr. Danny Johnson's clinic. Am I making that up?
No, that's true. That's where I am.
Yeah, and I remember you coming in with the patient and you just being so knowledgeable and more than anything, so passionate about the work that you do. And so it's a pleasure to talk with you this morning about how we can make sure that people are educated. What does it mean to be a certified diabetes educator?
Okay, thank you. So good morning, because I didn't start off with that. It means that you have completed formal studies in diabetes care and education, and then you went and you sat in a formal exam that is hosted by your peers, meaning persons who specialize in that area, and then you would have had to pass the exam to be called certified.
Okay.
So it's a specialized training for healthcare professionals.
Okay. So what kind of support certified educator offer patients? I can tell you about my experience. I know that you were just amazing in terms of showing, us, me and the patient, how to make sure that, because diabetes does a lot to the feet. And so making sure that that patient has muscle movement and doing what they can to get that feet moving. And so I was so impressed by just your passion. But what kind of support do you offer to all patients?
So really what we look at is doing an assessment. So it's actually doing a formal assessment to find out what are your barriers to your health. Because diabetes affect more than just the person's health. It affects the family. So there are social things that can cause problems as well. So the educator actually does a full assessment, psychosocial, financial, as well as physical. And then when we identify the barriers to health, then we develop a management plan to address those barriers. So we work with the client because diabetes is a 24-hour disease. So you have to be able to manage it yourself because you'll only be the healthcare professional about 15, 30 minutes with me, a little hour or so. So what we try to do is help you to manage when you're not there with someone who can give you all of the tools you need. Then we give you skills because again, you need to know what to do if there's a problem, what to do if your day doesn't go right. So everyone can do something well when the day's going well, but when the day goes sideways, you have to know what to do. And so we give you those type of skills as well. So it's really about providing you what you need in order for you to live with this disease, because it's about living with diabetes rather than dying from diabetes.
Yes, I love that. Are behaviors following the treatments you prescribe in order to manage their condition?
I find yes, and persons always tell me that no, they're not going to change their meal plans or they're not going to exercise. But I find once persons truly understand what they need to do and are giving the skills and the tools to do it, they follow. And so persons have been reversing their diabetes regularly. They've been coming off of a lot of the medications because they realize, oh, okay, I can do this. But if you just given a lot of information, but not given the skills to use the information, then you don't get the results that you would want to get. So it's really about giving skills as well.
All right. Now, what are the about preventing diabetes?
Okay, so the main thing about prevention of diabetes, first you have to know what's in your family tree. So if you have persons in your family tree with diabetes or hypertension or high cholesterol or obesity, there's risk factors there. And so it's about recognizing your risk and then putting in strategies to reduce your risk and living healthy. So living healthy means knowing how to balance your life, control and balance your stress, because everybody has some stress that leads to distress. So it's about balancing that, keeping that under control. It's about having a healthy meal plan. So it's not about just eating a bunch of vegetables, because persons say, oh, I can't eat this and I can't eat that. It's not so. It's about how to eat healthy, looking at your meal combinations, your timing, your portion sizes based on your activity level. Is about understanding exercise purposes to help your body be more flexible and help to use extra sugars and help the body be stronger. Is understanding that you need to get out in the sunlight because the sunlight is good for you in the right dosage at the right time, and getting that oxygen and breathing because we don't do that as much. And then understanding that coping is important. So having a positive mindset, understanding that a negative mindset leads more to disease than a positive mindset. So therefore you want to be positive. So preventing diabetes is about living healthy and if you recognize that you don't have the tools, then seek someone who can help you develop the skills or give you the tools in order to do that. But prevention of diabetes it's about living healthy.
Excellent. I'm sure you gave some information this morning. I want to reach out to you. How can we find you? Which contact you?
you were breaking up, so I think you say where I can be located. So
Yes, ma'am.
I am located at Foot and Ankle International, which is on top of Danes Lane in that big pink building on top of Fort Charlotte. So you can find me there most days of the week from 10 to about 4. We are also going to be starting our Saturday sessions again. So we have sessions to help everyone at whatever level they're at and at their pocketbook prices.
Excellent. Then thank you so much for joining us in Bahamas at Sunrise and sharing a wealth of knowledge about this. And we hope that people will continue to reach out to you through the Foot and Ankle Institute in order to make sure that they are in their best health. So thanks again.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be back with more after this commercial break.
First, it's more than just our name, more than just our achievements. It's our nature, and it's where we put our customers. At Bahamas First, we've refreshed our look, but our nature remains the same. We design insurance solutions that protect our customers from life's uncertainties, whatever they may be. We equip you for the future so that you can recover stronger. Bahamas First, what's first for you comes first for us.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Bahamas at Sunrise. We hope that you enjoyed the show.
Always loving the show. I love our producer. I love our director. I love Foxy. 3, 2, 1.
So, listen, we hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend and all going well. And as my grandma used to say, God sparing life. We'll be back with more Bahamas at Sunrise on Monday.
Have a good one. Be free.
It's another day, the sun is shining.